Mm.
And
It
it
looks
says
like we're
here,
live.
it is. We are live. I'm going to find it on
Yay.
YouTube. There we
Mm.
are.
Hello, hello.
Can you see us on YouTube?
I can't yet, actually.
Okay. Well, sometimes it's a little delayed,
It's
but
a little delayed. Okay. Well, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have one person view. Oh, there we are. Live.
I think it's
I can't see us yet, though.
there we go. I'm watching us.
Are you?
Yeah. So if
Okay.
you on your telephone, this is a great little moment where there's if you click on my name.
On your name.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I see you. I see us.
Yeah. So if
Fantastic.
Mhm. You'll have to turn the volume down on your telly.
There we go.
And then if you click on my name on the chat, because it's just me in the chat,
Okay.
click on it.
Okay.
Oh, no, on your phone.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure how to click on just you.
Yeah, so it should be, you should see me like that in the chat. And then if
Oh,
you just
live
click
chat.
on me, the
Okay.
live chat, and then click
Okay.
on me, and then a menu comes up.
Okay.
And
Add
then,
moderator.
there you go. I'll be your first mod.
Amazing.
And I think you have other people here.
Yay. Hi, other people. Welcome. This is my first live and very, very excited to be here and excited to be having Kevin on the show for my first live. How exciting. Hello, hello. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for being here. I feel like this has been a long time coming, and yet it feels like it's just all of a sudden here we are live, putting all the little pieces together. And but yeah, I'm really, really excited for today and what we have in store. We're gonna do just like some soulful conversations. We're gonna get to know a little bit more about Kevin's story. For those of you who don't know Kevin, I know lots of you are coming from his community, which is so amazing. But we're gonna dive in a little bit deeper, and maybe I'll have a question that he hasn't answered before. You never know.
Love it.
You never know what's gonna come through. So we're gonna start with a little soul chat, and then we're gonna dive into some mini readings. So
Amazing. And I recognize Beatrice. Hi, Beatrice, and hi, Seascape. They would make great moderators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sign them up. The wrenches are going to be flying.
I love it.
Sandi and I were talking about my first live, and she's like, "Do you still have it up?" I'm like, "You betcha I do." It was 3.5. It was a marathon, and it was with my friend Lisa, Spirit Intuitive Tarot, and oh my goodness, we just kept going and going and going. And I should probably watch it to see how much of an arse I made of myself, but I'm used to doing that. So thank you. Thank you for making me your first guest.
It's one of those things, right, where we all want to be experts, like right when we first start.
Yeah.
And then it holds us back from doing the things so often. And so, I mean, if we can be an example of just fumbling our way through at the beginning so that other people can, I don't know, say, I can do that too. I can fumble my way through YouTube.
Totally.
I
Well,
feel
yeah,
like
I think you nailed it. It keeps us out of showing up.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like waiting and all the things. And it's great to have like things in place when we're showing up, but to think that's going to look perfect. And then recognizing that there's like things that arise that it's like, okay, I didn't know that would happen. Or you just the learning. I always remind myself of that. It's like, okay, the fear of showing up can stop me from actually like getting the joy, getting the, celebration, being successful, learning new things. I think that that's huge. So huge. Look I see blue people now.
Yeah.
Beatrice is blue. Seascape is blue. Wonderful.
Yay.
And I see Gina. Hi, Gina. Welcome.
And Beatrice says, Sandy, you have the best teacher. Kevin is an angel sent to earth. I
Oh,
agree. Oh,
that's
yes.
so
Yes, yes,
kind.
yes, yes to that.
Sandy is also a wonderful teacher, and she's inspired
Mm.
me. Um, it's so
So good.
funny. Do you remember our like? I'm being prompted to share this. I'm going to share this about you because do you remember? So I'm trying to think of what version or abbreviate because it's a bit of a lengthy story, but I remember being in the hair salon, and I'm going to say that was I'm going to say 5 years ago ish,
Mhm.
4 or 5 years ago. And I'm in the salon, and Sandy was in the salon getting her hair done. I was not doing her hair. Another stylist was doing her hair, but there was something about Sandy that I was like, I was truthfully distracted. I remember I was at the sink and I was shampooing my client, rinsing a color, but I was interested in the conversation that you were having with your stylist at the time. I didn't know exactly what it was, but the energy of it, I was drawn to you. And so I don't know if I had said bye or hi in passing. It's quite an intimate salon, so I might have made eye contact. Nonetheless, at one point, Sandy stylist in the back room said, "Oh, aren't you going to say hello to Sandy?" And I was like, "What?" Kind of like, well, I was like, "Okay, why?" And he said, "You know her, you know each other." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "If I remember correctly, yeah, you've done her hair before."
It's true.
And I was like, I had no memory. I had no real memory-ish of it. Now, once I figured out and you and I went into conversation, boy, oh boy, do I remember, but it was just so interesting. It was so interesting. And I don't know why I'm sharing that, but that brought us back together. So yes, we
Mhm.
had known each other. I mean, that was almost 20 years ago, or
Yeah.
like 18, 19 years ago that
Yeah.
we would have first connected.
Yeah.
Um, and then 5 years ago, we really connected. And
Yeah.
um, yeah. So back to my original point, Sandy has taught me a lot in my life. And
Oh, thank you. That's,
mhm,
I mean, ditto. Like I feel like we were always meant to come into each other's lives. Like
mhm,
it was like this inevitable meeting at soul level that we were
mhm.
gonna become friends in
Yeah.
this life. Because I remember, like, I remember you doing my hair, and then I think we were friends on Facebook.
Mm,
And I remember watching your posts and seeing, I think you were living like where in Calgary for a while.
yeah.
And I remember just seeing your posts and knowing it's gonna sound silly, maybe he's gonna be famous
Oh,
or he's gonna be really well known.
oh, wow.
This knowing. And then I just always saw you in that light. And then when I saw you in the salon that day, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he did my hair that one time. It was like this Japanese ionic straightening system that we did, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And anyways, so yeah, when we did finally connect, it was like, oh, of course, we're connecting and we're connecting in this deep way. And I just, yeah, spirit definitely brought us together for a bigger purpose. And I feel so
Yeah.
grateful. I feel
Well,
so
we
grateful.
jumped into those conversations, and I remember now I'm remembering more was I think it was sometime after that. So we just said hello that time in the salon, and then sometime after that, I went back into the salon, and that same stylist was doing somebody else's hair, but I
Mm,
was cued that you were going to reach out to me. And I felt
yeah.
like this, like knowing that you were going to reach out to me. Well, lo and behold, it was that night, if I remember, you had sent a message. And then we just went into all of the conversations where it's like
Yeah.
that different, um, different conversation than you have maybe with a lot of people
Yeah.
that is all about like this kind of stuff. So there
Yeah.
was that likeness, there was that knowing.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
look at us now,
And look at us
still
now.
having lots of those conversations.
Right. I love it. I love it. So amazing. Okay, so I want to start because I'm curious. I know a little bit about your story and your
Mhm,
awakening and how you first started to sort of understand that you had these gifts. But I just love to hear it again from
mhm,
you because I just think that you have a really neat, interesting sort of awakening into all of this and you've refined your
mhm.
gifts so much along the way. Like you have done not only are you naturally gifted, but you've also spent a lot of time, you know, schooling
Mhm.
and really taking that next step in honing the gifts. So I'd love to just hear wherever you feel called to
Yeah. I
share.
mean, I always go back to childhood because I didn't feel like, and how do you really know, but I didn't feel like other people. So even
Yeah.
in my awareness of who I am at that really young age, I just knew there was more to life. And so I had that knowing. It wasn't a belief from, I didn't grow up in a religious home. There was faith, and a couple people in my family would, um, a couple would use the word God or heaven. Um,
Mhm.
and just in that would speak of something that was kind of greater, this feeling. And I felt attached to that, but
Yeah.
didn't know it intimately, if you will. And
Mm.
so I just knew as a kid that there was more to life. And I guess my curiosity and that knowing um, was my connection to spirit. And so
Mm.
in reflection, I don't ever not remember
Yeah.
being in that connection and how it's unfolded. The the naturalness in these abilities that we all have is something that we all have. That's an
Mm.
absolute. We all have these abilities and we're all connected all of the time, whether we recognize it, place our attention on it or not, we
Mhm.
always are. So in that, um, there was just this calling to learn more. And yes, I love education. And so I strive towards doing the best I can and learning the most and being the best that I can be in things. And so education was really important. And so I think of in reflection now of all that I've done in the education and the learning, all of that exploration. You know, I single-handedly look at spirit, and I being spirit. I look at spirit being the um, kind of my greatest teacher, and in that,
Mm.
and so the unveiling of all of the gifts, if you will, have naturally presented through experiences in my life. And so I just feel so humbled and in awe and inspired, and continue to be curious to
Mm.
continue. We were just talking about this showing up,
Yeah.
and in it there's moments where I'm really fearful.
Mm.
It's temporary. I don't like to live there for too long, but in the humanness, I get fearful, of course. But it's how I move through it. And I think, looking, in the last maybe 2 years, I kept waiting. I kept,
Mm.
wanting it to look such a certain way before I fully stood into it. And for
Yeah.
me, what that means is because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the gift for me in this comes from the exchange. So whether that be the conversation about spirituality and us as humans and spirit, and how we weave those two together or not. Um, that just really inspires me to do more, be in more experiences. So I've really become unwavering when the fear starts to show up. I don't let that stop me anymore.
Yeah.
And it took me the better part of, because I'm speaking about the last maybe 2 years. So it took me 45 years to actually
Mhm.
get there. And in
Yeah.
that, I pinch myself sometimes, and it's like the thinking back to childhood, it feels like a dream. Well, even
Right.
just in this last 2 years, in the reflection, it also
Mm.
feels like a dream. Uh,
Yeah.
because I look at it and go, is that my life? Uh,
Wow.
so yeah.
I love that.
Mm.
I love that so much. And, talk about fear of showing up in our gifts and sharing our truths about connection to spirit realm, different dimensions, whatever that looks like, is so real.
Yeah.
Like from, you know, even like from a past life, having probably many past lives where it wasn't actually safe, physically safe to
Right.
do this kind of work, let alone share this kind of work. And so um it's absolutely takes so much courage,
Mhm.
and it's like our most natural state of being, right? Our most natural state of being is this connection to all that is, because we're a part of that. So I just love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Mm. Did have you ever had a time in your life where you've shut down your gifts? Like,
Mm.
have you ever had a time where you're like, this is too much? I just want to have a normal life. I don't want to have these gifts. Whew, shut her down. Has that ever?
Um,
Hmm.
I think truthfully, I don't know if we're able to shut them down. I've learned to, adjust the dimmer switch, if you will,
Mhm.
but they've always been there. And
Yeah.
so, um, it's the perspective. And what I get, is that, how I look at it, and how I receive it, and the thoughts I have around it. Because what I want to get to is that I just feel like it was always a gift, and that those times of really stepping into it and being seen, because underneath it, in the humanness, we want to all be seen. And so
Mhm.
in that, I think it was more about not having the confidence, having the insecurities, like being different. What would that look like for other people? What's the
Mhm.
impact there? How is that going to land?
Yeah.
So it was all of that type of energy that
Yeah.
I chose, to be with. And in that, so I don't think I ever really challenged or felt challenged, and wanted to kind of like, um, fully step away from it, because in the truth of it, I wanted more.
Yeah.
I always wanted more. That was my knowing. That was the calling of, for me, I knew that was my purpose in life, being in
Mm.
contribution for other people.
Mhm.
So I've never answered it in that way. And perhaps it's just taken me this long to actually, to really gain that awareness around it. But there are times when it is challenging. I will
Mhm.
not deny that, because as an empath, and I know probably everyone here in the chat, and yourself, being empaths, just so sensitive to things where, sometimes that's a lot. And so, depending how we are and where we're, in our own grounding, and where we are in our own lives, taking that energy on, or having that awareness, can be challenging.
Yeah.
Um, but then I, really take a look at, um, who I can be for other
Mm.
people, and who I
Mhm.
can't be. And in that, I've learned to, I guess, adjust, like I said, the amount of, because we're responsible. at the end of the day, we have to be responsible for a lot of things, including how, the thoughts we have around things will create the feeling. So
Mhm.
in that, I take responsibility. So it's a learning, and there's sometimes where I feel like I'm managing that maybe a little better than other times, but yeah.
Beautiful. I feel this sense of, and I don't know if you're feeling this as well, but there's like this potent window that we're in right now between the the Aries full moon that we just had and the eclipse season. We're already in that eclipse season portal that's coming up on the 28th of October. I believe it's the 28th till the 8th of November, where eclipses are all about like endings and new beginnings. And so there's just this big energy of like, for me, I don't know, there's been so much shadow stuff coming up
Mm,
that I'm having to look at. That's like, we're clearing here, like it's coming up, it's being cleared. It's like, and it's really a lot around really allowing things to fall away that
mm.
aren't in alignment with who I'm stepping into and who I'm remembering myself to be, even on deeper levels, and even more integrated with who I am as a soul, and not so much identifying my human self and the human mind. And so I don't know, have you been feeling
I
that
love that.
energy?
Yeah, and I'm curious if the chat family can share if that's something that
Present.
they are experiencing as well, which I feel that they are. And yeah, and what stands out in that for me is the ability to outframe from the
Mhm.
human experience and just being in that realm of, in the connection with our spirit and our soul, and seeing that, you know what I mean, watching myself through the lens of that in this human experience
Yeah.
feels really helpful. And yeah, the release and the letting go, in in total transparency, I thought there was some things that I had released and let go of that have resurfaced, and they've resurfaced in a different way.
Yeah.
They haven't impacted me the same as when I felt that I had spent some time and released and let go and whatnot. They've come to surface again in a different way, and how I'm um, receiving that in the recognition to when I released it. I don't know if
Mhm.
that is making sense as I'm saying it out loud, because I'm sharing this for the first time.
Yeah.
Feels really empowering. It
Yeah.
feels really empowering. So, um, a different impact, but in a good way. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Wow.
um,
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild times, and we we chose to be here. We chose this. We chose to be here now at this time for this great awakening, and it's
if you want
really
to click on some of the comments that
mhm.
people make, if you want, you can do that. So you just show them. Seascape makes a good one, just in response to,
Okay, so we go.
yeah, if you just click
Oh,
on her, yeah, there you
oh,
go.
there we go. Okay,
Or no, not that.
not that one.
But that's very nice. Thank you, Skate. But this
Well, thank you, Seascape.
so lovely. I'm like,
Oh, your dog is so cute too. Look at that little puppy. Oh
mhm,
my gosh, so
yeah.
cute.
So
So I love that. Yeah, it's feels a little bit wobbly, like a little unsteady groundedness with the just the amount of cleansing and purging that we're being called into. And there's this very strong knowing and feeling of excitement, because
mm,
what we're stepping into, I feel, is just deeper embodiment, deeper remembrance of our gifts. Like the veil is already thin, it's been getting thinner and thinner, but I get this knowing, this sense that our spiritual gifts are really going to be coming back online, as we move into these next few months, especially. And I feel like that's going to be a big theme with the eclipse portal that we're going into. So, hello, welcome the change. Welcome the change. Yeah, it can be a little unnerving because we don't know. We've never done this before. And I'm just getting this message too for me, and I'm sure it's for some of us on the live as well. I was going to say call, but I
So
that
many welcome, Joan B. Nice to
welcome,
see you.
Joan. I'm just getting this that it's safe to release, it's safe to let go, it's safe to go into the shadow and to do this clearing work, because on the other side is so much lightness and clarity, and like the channel feels like it's just clear. So receiving messages even more clearly, and it feels very expansive, this new energy. So here for it. Here for it. How do you, speaking on that, because I feel like it's always this balance, right, between going into the healing work. And I think sometimes that we can get in these patterns of like healing, just focus so much on healing. I know I have. How do you, because we still are humans and we are still here to live a human life and have this human experience as much as we're here to awaken, and whatever that looks like in whatever capacity. How do you set those boundaries with within yourself so that you don't become on that healing loop where life just becomes about healing? We want to live. We're here to enjoy life too, I believe, you know?
Do you mean like seeking out personal healing, or being that for other people, or just so I understand the...
Well, personal healing. So when I know you, I feel like you have a really good sense of this, where you're discerning as far as, is this mine? Is this not mine? Is this something that's just moving through me? Like, how do you set those clear sort of energetic boundaries when it comes to your sense of finding that sense of balance within human and awakening, or human and soul journey evolving? Because it, yeah.
I think I mean, people will say to me that I really have good boundaries. And I feel like I do, for the most part. And I do quickly discern when I'm like not in the balance of that and when it's out. And I think that I'm just sitting with that, because it's like I recognize pretty quick when I'm going against what I know is maybe right for me, kind of best for me. I've always been the type of person where it's like I can quickly, and it's almost before I even put my thoughts around it, I can feel into something if it feels like kind of right or not. If it's a yes, if it's a no, if it's a, place my energy here or not. So I feel like that compass, if you will, is something that's just always been really heightened. And in the humanness of it, I've gone against that. So that's where I would say, maybe that can appear as not being in the balance of it. And yet I will say that those imbalances have taught me more about myself and other people than probably being in the balance of it. So in it, to me, it's like that, the weaving of, the human aspect of who we are and the spiritual aspect of who we are. And they're both so beautiful. And when we can live them simultaneously and not kind of segregated and separate, to me, that feels like the balance. To me, that feels like the clarity and the truth around boundaries, because as you know, and I'm sure people can relate, I'd be curious in the comments, because it depends for me. So I'm just thinking of an example. It depends for me a lot who those people are. So if it's a family member or a total stranger, that can look very, very different. The humanness, Kevin, can be very, very different with his boundaries in one, scenario versus another. And so in that, brings me a lot of teaching about myself,
I feel like you're so true to yourself. Like how I see you, my perception is you're so deeply embodied in your truth and what's right for you and what's not. I just really admire that about you, because I think too, as empaths and sensitive people, and it can be hard because we're feeling other people's energy and emotions, and sometimes you can sort of abandon yourself
Yeah.
in order to make someone else happy. And I admire that you are always, very conscientious, and you have very loving boundaries. I think that's the key, is that your boundaries are loving.
Yeah.
And you're very true to what you need and what's good for you. And I think for the most part, I see is that you follow that in
Thank you.
yourself. I admire that a lot.
I heard someone say in the chat, it was last week, and I can't recall who it was, but they said boundaries don't have to be barriers. And it stuck with me, and I was like, that is profound.
Yeah. And I think having loving boundaries, safe boundaries, is an opportunity for us to be even more intimate and be even more open and be even more loving, because you're essentially taking care of yourself and your own needs first. So your energy is not leaking all over the place.
Yeah.
And when you're not leaking your own energy all over the place, then you can be so much more present for what you intend to be really present for, with that intention and that, yeah. So
It's interesting. I'm being prompted to share this.
mm,
And I'm one of my late friends that I had met her probably, like, really connected and met probably about 8 years ago.
mm,
And she passed a couple of years ago. And she would always say to me, she'd be like, we just had this really deep connection. And so she would say to me, she'd be like, you don't show people who you are. It takes a while to kind of she would say, like, kind of like pick the crust off
crack
you.
the code.
Yeah, yeah. And it took a while. And it was an encouragement to really just show all of myself a little quicker, is what I took from that. And as I sit here now, I feel like I am that expression where I think less about who I should be or who I need to be or this and all of the accommodation and all of the people pleasing and all of that. I'm still responsible, but I'm more in a space of in my expression from my heart, and that's very different. So living kind of both from one extreme to the other, this feels like home, and being in that. I try to be in the boundaries. I try to be gentle. I still want to be responsible, and I want to always even if things need to be firm, I still want that to be gentle, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I
Mm.
see we've got some more people joining us, which is so nice.
Hello,
Beatrice made a nice
welcome.
comment.
Yeah, let's see. When I see a person I know,
I
can
know that.
I haven't seen them before, but we're past lives. I come
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It is a real thing.
Yeah.
Last question, and then we can get into some
Sure.
little mini readings and card
Sure.
pulls. So if that feels good, if you have a question, personal questions that you'd like some guidance on, you can leave them in the chat. And so my last question, Mr. Kevin,
Mhm.
who has been your greatest teacher
Mm.
or teachers? Maybe it's more than one, but what has been the greatest uh, teacher experience? And
Mhm.
let's say in human form.
Okay.
Because I know
Okay.
spirit might be.
Okay. Well, that's just it. So, and I know I feel like I'm echoing Debbie Freeber's spirit because I asked her that same question, and the truth that came out of it was the truth for me as well. And so the answer is you. You are a great teacher for me, and everybody. And that's the beautiful thing, and just having that. Outlook and the openness to learn from everybody, because
Yeah.
going back to the common thread is that we all want to be seen, and in that we can teach each other. And so
Mm.
the chat family, everyone in their demonstration, their even just in their their energy
Yeah.
is teachable for me, because it reminds me, like Seascape and Gina and Ronnie and Vivian and Beatrice, all of them, they just all present this energy via this name, and that in times like it brings me hope. It teaches me to be patient. It teaches me to listen. It teaches me to be inspired.
Mm.
And so in that, I love the reminder that everybody's our teacher,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
and,
Mhm.
and we sometimes look at that as, what's the experience attached? And if it's like joy and inspiration and I don't know, all of the good stuff versus the not so good stuff, we could pretend, I don't know why I said that, perhaps rank this is a better teacher or not. But to answer your question, everybody.
Yeah.
And I've taught myself a lot. I don't exclude myself in this humanness from teaching myself. And my goodness, I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. I've taken away trying to be perfect,
Mm.
um, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like to learn, and I do. I've always been that why person as a child and a young adult and a middle-aged adult. I love asking why. And
Mm.
so yeah, all the peoples. My
Incredible.
hmm
Amazing. I love it. Did I say this
Thank you, Ronnie. Of course.
coming
Hmm.
in?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, if anybody has anything you'd like us to pull some cards on, some spiritual guidance around, there's
Mhm.
only a few of us on here, so
Seascape asks a good question too.
who was that?
At 12:04.
Hmm.
That jumped out to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Explain the difference in this world. Boundaries versus barriers.
Mm.
How would you differentiate between that, Kev?
Mm. To me, they have a different energy, and
Yeah.
so I'll just speak from my just a sharing friend to friend, that forgiveness comes up in it for me. And so as I'm like feeling into it more, I recognize where I thought I was putting up a boundary, and what that looked like was this impenetrable barrier that had a different energy. And so looking at, for me personally, how I want to perhaps, I don't want to say make people feel, but what they're left with, the impact that I have on them, even in the upset, I want that to be through the expression of love. And so for
Mm,
me, the feeling of the barrier is just a very different vibration. And it's
yeah.
not to say that it's not as a boundary can be just as firm.
Mm,
It feels like my attachment and the energy that still kind of holds me to that boundary versus barrier is
mhm,
very different. So it
yeah.
just feels gentler, and with,
Mhm,
you know, the forgiveness comes into it. Is
mhm.
that underneath layer? So, um,
Yeah,
how about you?
I love that.
Mm,
Yeah, really similar actually. There's a different energy to barriers versus boundaries, and I feel like
mm,
is boundaries just feels like loving, with integrity, feels like a really positive thing. Everybody should have them. Highly recommend.
mm.
And then a barrier feels like, yeah, just sort of just like how it sounds. Like it feels like this sort of thick, cementy energy where it's just, and sometimes we need barriers too. Like it just fully depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I think they're both useful in certain circumstances. But boundaries, I feel, are loving and respectful and um, yeah, I think boundaries is something that we we get to set and we definitely need barriers that do not cross ever. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
And we need them from time to time too. I think. I feel.
I love it.
Hmm.
Are you starring
Me
any of
too.
these questions?
I haven't yet. I'm just gonna go back.
If you just push the little star, and then
Let's
it puts it into that
see.
holding place.
Question, Bridget. Here we go.
Do you want to star them all first, so then we don't have to go back, just in case?
Yeah, I will. Guidance from spirit. Boundary is like, hi, this is my boundary. If you want to cross it, we can talk, negotiate. Make sure you understand this is a boundary of mine. Yes, 100%. There should be an understanding and a give take at that point.
Mm,
Yes, absolutely. I've always thought barriers are the doors we set up for ourselves that we use them as an excuse to not reach the stars. Boundaries are lines we don't cross to hurt someone.
yeah.
Yes.
And you know what I love about it? It's like all the variations of the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
And I love that, because to me, that just goes back to us being teachers for other people. So how we considered it or we didn't, and hearing how it is for somebody else, it's not a matter of being right and wrong.
Right.
It's so perfect. However, that resonates with people. I love
Yeah.
that. I love the differences. If we were just all the same and it was exactly cookie cutter for everybody, it's like, oh my goodness, we'd be so bored.
Right.
Bloody bored. Yeah. Hmm. All right.
Amazing. So Bridget is wanting any messages.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Hmm.
That yawn was intentional.
Moving energy.
Totally. So some healing, Bridget. Okay, interesting. Yawning is um, a symbol for me of healing. So some healing around you. Um, Mm.
So I pulled friendship and union, Bridget. I'm just feeling into friendship and union. It feels like you're either surrounded. Are you surrounded by really good friendships, or are you calling that in? And then I also pulled the signs and reminders. So I just feel like spirit is very present right now and very with you. So I don't know if you've been understanding that, if you've been getting some really strong, maybe you're having some dreams. Let me know if any of that resonates. But it's this feeling of you're calling in your soul fam, or you're calling in some sort of deeper relationships, deeper friendships. What are you picking up, Kevin?
Yeah, a bit of a hit on the relationships. Spirit is talking about kind of like your discipline and your diligence in what you've kind of been experiencing. They're showing me like this like time machine, and so it's you looking. It does feel a little bit more in the past. So perhaps that's the connection with the discipline and just the diligence of in relation to kind of these. It's just like taking me out of the present moment. So this energy of maybe just some stuff that resurfaced. So okay, so back to the part around, we were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you were here or not, but just within the share of some things that you thought, oh, I thought that was done, and but they've resurfaced. So you just being aware of that, and just the okay, so they're saying ears wide open. So I don't know if you're hearing stuff. So maybe it's from somebody else. I think it ties into the relationship. And I know I'm feeling all over the place with this, but what the message feels like is for you to, okay, you have a choice around it. So even if things are resurfacing, if things are reoccurring and you're hearing some, validation, and that might not always be good validation, that you are in choice here. So whether you react or just kind of let it roll off, it's interesting that we were talking about the boundaries. So I feel that plays into it for you as well. It feels good. It feels powerful that you're in a different place to be in a different choice. So if there is something familiar, your choice around it, kind of because of that wisdom, and then they're showing me the purification, if you will, of what you've done during that time, allows you to be in a different choice. So that can be very different. So feels good. Feels good. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Hi, Stouffer. And hi, Jen T. Nice to see you.
Yeah, hello. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's see. Guidance from Spirit, please. Thank you. Sandi and Kevin. Vivian.
Okay, Bridget, you're welcome. Interesting. I'm going to mute my.
Vivian, I immediately pulled no. And then cut the cords. So I feel like, is there somewhere, like speaking of boundaries and barriers, I'm just wondering if there's somewhere where it would be of service to you and the people around you for you to create some more boundaries. So the messages that I've been receiving and just feeling into, especially right now, as we're in this deep purification and evolution as we come up to the eclipse portals and all of the shadows coming up for so many of us, is the remembrance of how important it is to make sure that we're clearing and cleansing our energy fields, that we're really taking time to disconnect from other people's energies as well. So it's making sure that you're doing your cord cutting and your salt baths and however you clear and cleanse your energy, because it's just so important right now. So I don't know if that resonates at all for you, but I actually pulled the no card twice. So if there's maybe something that you're some relationship that's feeling a little bit draining, or somewhere where you're not feeling like you can fully be your most authentic self in a relationship. Okay, perfect. Yeah, need to disconnect from a few people. Well, yeah, then spirit is very in support of that on your journey. So thank you for sharing that.
I love it. Gina asked a question too up there if you want to start it. I pulled 2 cards for you, Vivian, and I got, I never show these close enough, but intuitive nudges and trust. And so talk about going hand in hand, right? So you just feel like that open channel for communication with spirit. And that's always been the case for you, they're saying. And in that, just your level of trust in that can sometimes waver. So just really going into, okay, they're bringing you back to this card, which is that compass. So just knowing that it's more about in the trust for you. It's the internal. It's less about this, all the external stuff. They're saying that that compass, that inner knowing, is your trust. So allow that to be an influence in your decision making, the choices that you make, where you want to place your energy or not, coming from that place. Wherever you identify that, can be really helpful. And spirit's nudging you. It's like it's the third eye, that activation, your third eye being so expansive. Okay, so just because it is so expansive, in that, remembering that you're anchoring, your grounding is really important, because this is so expansive, we can sometimes get a little top heavy, if you will. So just still being in your grounding. And so I think that comes back to the what Sandi was talking about, like the spiritual cleansing and the spiritual bath, and sometimes in that. Will allow us to be in our own grounding. So hopefully that resonates.
More important now than ever, I feel.
So true.
Vivian says, great message. Thank you. Awesome.
Always.
Beatrice.
Beatrice. Oh my goodness. Purpose of my life. Many. Many. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so what I heard was that the
Mm.
simplicity in the purpose of our life is to have the experiences. And so the first card is the drifter, experiencing life as it comes.
Mm.
And then the spirit of the river, which is about movement towards adventure. It just anchors that um, simplicity in we're just here to have experiences. And sometimes,
Mhm.
yes, the purpose looks really clear. And yes, sometimes it doesn't look clear at all. Can it be the same? Can it change? Yes, and yes. So, with that, we're never not living the life we're supposed to live. So, we're not in a deficit. We're not lack of. It's not a negative if we don't actually have that 100% clarity around it. That actually, if we shift the perspective they're saying and
Mm.
have that curiosity when there's still more to be unveiled, allow that to be the energy. It's like the glass half full, if you will,
Mm.
is what they're showing me. So just being in that flow, that movement, the energy of, the water for you, Beatrice. Keep living your life, keep having the experiences, because you're exactly where you're supposed to be and you haven't missed a thing. So,
Hmm.
mm,
Beautiful. Yeah, I pulled. Um, I was called to pull from my light worker deck, and I've got get grounded, empaths, highly sensitive, connecting with nature, and then the second card that I pulled for you was leap. And so I just feel this sense of your purpose will unveil itself as you are connecting back in with nature, as you're connecting back in with your truest self, and allow life to show you step by step. Like it's never going to be this. I think sometimes we think our life purpose is going to be come through in this really powerful bolt of lightning type way. And how I've found it to work and how working with my clients and we've been really tapping into purpose is it's like a staircase, but you're only shown one step at a time. So once you take that first step, then the next step is unveiled. And it's like this energy of continuing to follow what lights you up and continuing to follow the passions that you have, those true passions, and you will be shown and you will be guided one step and then the next step as you're ready, because sometimes we're not always ready to see the whole staircase at once. And so this is what I'm feeling for you, Beatrice, is to really spend some time in maybe in solitude in nature, really connecting with the elements and connecting with yourself and feeling that earth energy, and then allowing yourself to be guided and continuing to follow those nudges, because I feel like you already are receiving the messages and that you already are connected, and they're just asking you to really I think to just sort of disconnect from external um, noise, if you will,
mm,
and tap into your channel. So I hope that resonates.
I love it.
Mm.
Tracy Lynn, thank you for joining, and Gertrude too. And just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed, I read earlier Ronnie, Ronnie was like, "I really love Sandy's energy. I'm going to subscribe," and then they realized they were already subscribed. So
I love that.
wonderful. So if
Thank
you
you so
haven't, do
much.
subscribe. Do hit the notification bell so that you can. I know Sandy's going to be doing more lives, and so. Put the notification bell on so that you get the alert when she is going live until we get her to that 500, which will give her her community tab so that she can be in that communication with you when she's going live and what's going
Mm.
on. Of
Thanks, Kev.
course, all that.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And if
Thank
you want to make some
you.
of these people moderators, I approve every single one in the chat room. Sure. I would blue wrench them all. Totally. Blue
Amazing.
wrench
I
really
love it.
all.
Mm.
All these lovely people. And you're welcome, Vivian. You are so welcome.
Mm.
Seascape. Any messages that I know about Vivian my abilities? Mhm. Mhm. I hear I mean, we're always all, and so you're not separate from this. We're always all in development of our abilities, if you will. And another way of languaging that is that through our experiences, they're being unveiled because our abilities are with us in by nature. So when we're born into this lifetime, if you will, they're already all there. And perhaps because of our experiences, the way, some of our learning, we forget about them. They kind of get hidden. And in that awakening back to the abilities that are there by nature, we're in choice around that. And so in the share earlier, they're bringing me back to the share earlier about being seen and being in that demonstration, is really what anchors and unveils those abilities to that place of that knowing, where the trust goes up, and we can be in that demonstration. So Seascape with you, they're encouraging you to step into it, in a way of being seen, that they're saying you have not allowed yourself. And there is invitation and encouragement and support, from your team, like just cheering you on to really
Mm.
step into it. So that's the message coming through for you.
Yeah, I fully am on that same wavelength that Kevin is with that message. I pulled the boundaries card as
Oh,
well.
bit of a theme.
Um, and then the crumbling. And so I just really feel like spirit is guiding you to, and it's so much boundary talk today,
Yeah.
to really have that clarity around the boundaries that you're setting and the intentions that you have with that, because I feel that that's going to allow you more space, more flow, more sovereignty in your own channel and your own gifts, and really just giving you that yeah, it feels like it's like a purification of, maybe it's people, or certain um yeah, maybe it's people, or just certain ways of doing things, that they're just saying, once you sort of clear out some of that old denser energies, whether that be relationships, or food, or whatever that looks like for you, then you're going to just really feel into those gifts coming online even more. But it feels like this purification for you right now. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but if that makes sense for you, it feels like what Kevin was saying. I absolutely was picking up on the same
Mhm.
wavelength, that you're being so encouraged to continue to do the work that you're doing, and it's all perfectly divine as far as the timing of it is going.
Yeah.
So to continue doing what you're doing, and also setting those boundaries.
Yeah. The
We
see,
love them as
add
empaths.
to that too, um we're always in control. And so when things don't feel uncomfortable, and you're the one to be the expert in that, when they don't feel uncomfortable, sometimes there's actually learning in that, and sometimes they just don't feel comfortable, and we're allowed to, ultimately, either way, we hold the power around that. So if somebody doesn't feel comfortable and you're not interested, you get to be the one to decide and say, look at, like, if it's, and maybe I'm taking this out of reference, but they're encouraging me to say this, that if it's like sleep, and it's like 2 a.m. and you're not interested to get a download, or have spirit giving you, this information, you're in control of that. So just regaining that power around it, and you standing firm in that, we get to decide always. And then the other part of it was, because they're saying about the fear, um, by nature, they're saying that in the humanness, we're born with two: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. All of the rest is what we learn. So in that, it's not to take away that they're real, it's fear. But if we could get a little more curious sometimes about the newness, especially in that uncomfortable where it's like we're still kind of curious, that's the energy that they're encouraging you to play in, because that in it, I remember they're taking me back. I did a meditation and everything turned black, and I was like, oh boy. The guards went up. I was like, oh boy. I was instantly like, oh, this is like, it's black, and my association with that was it was not good. And I stopped myself, and my guides were present, and they encouraged me to keep exploring, to keep being in the experience, if you will. And so I did. And I'll just jump forward, what came from that experience was one of the most profound experience in a meditation that I've actually ever had. And I sit in meditation, if not every day, close to it. So sometimes just what can appear instantly because of what we, all of our programming, if you will, around it, sometimes just, and you will know when to be in that curiosity. So that's what they're wanting me to share with you right now. So hopefully that makes sense. And look at all these blue wrenches. Sandy's been wrenching people. You better. Stouffer needs one. Gina needs one. Jessica Lynn still needs one. If you're work, you can do this after too in the chat if you put their name. But I highly recommend you make lots of mods.
Yes. Thank you so much, you guys, moderating.
Substitutes. Yeah.
Gina says, I am curious at this point in my life, where am I going? Lost in the third dimension and spiritual path. Direction or clarification would be awesome.
Yeah, Gina, and they're saying the repeat of the message earlier for Beatrice is what they're saying is that we're never not in the exact spot, in that exact place than we're supposed to be. And the illusion of it not sometimes just going, and sometimes it's just okay, this would be my preference. And sometimes there's just confusion. But if we could go back to that out frame from this human experience and just be in the soulfulness and the spiritual aspect of who we are, and allow that, it sometimes just takes surrender.
Oops. I
cards for you.
Sorry, I'm going to go back to Gina there. Sorry. Yeah. I have starred your question, Jen. So we're going to come to you as well.
Yeah. So it's that. I mean, this card actually jumped out. I don't know if you saw me. I had to leave, but it's the beloved card, and it's that radical acceptance. And in that is the energy of surrender to just being present, and that's hard. And it's like we get taken in the direction of past and future, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, it can take us out of this present moment. So just being in this experience in this very moment, you are on the right path. You are not lost. You are not lost. So just the reminder.
So, yeah, I pulled this take a break card. A life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. Can you guys see that? So, and then I also pulled the priestess card, and how are you being called to step up and lead? And so what I'm really feeling for you, Gina, is we are really, like I've been talking about, this sort of eclipse portal that we're in and the season that we're in. Those of us who are on this spiritual journey, who are here for this awakening and really part of the group of people, humans that have incarnated to assist with the shift in consciousness on the planet. And there are moments along that journey, and this has been some of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn, and I still am learning, is that not all seasons are going to be like the output season or the knowing with certainty season of the clarity on it all. So I just feel like the message for you that's coming through is to allow yourself to be in this season of the unknown and to not try to push through it, because there's so much for you to learn and to integrate within this season of slowness.
Mm-hmm.
And with that coming on the other side, it just feels like all is possible as well. But it's like that saying, slow down to speed up. I don't know if you've heard that saying
Mm-hmm.
before, but it just feels like it's a time for you to maybe be a little bit more inward right now. And then if you allow yourself to really integrate that, then everything else will sort of fall into place a little bit easier. But if you're trying to sort of figure it out at the level of the mind, it feels like you're going to stay in this cycle of fogginess and confusion, because I just feel like that's not what you're being called to do right now. So it's a beautiful time. It's like winter, where we can sort of go in and replenish and get real cozy. And then on the other side of winter is that beautiful newness of spring energy. And I just feel like that's coming. It's coming. So I don't want you to feel like you're stuck on the treadmill, and that you're just going to be on this treadmill forever. But it's like, as soon as you take that time to really nourish and go inwards, it feels like things will become clear again for you. So hope that resonates.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah.
Because as you were talking, Sandi, Gina, I could see an owl. The medicine of the owl is drawing close to you. So there's wisdom there for you, and they're bringing in a connection with ancestral. So there's some patterns ancestrally that you are also being invited to be with. And in that, I feel there's that layer of the uncomfortable, because I really wanted to feel the uncomfortable. And so in that release of the ancestral patterns, they're saying, draw upon the medicine of the owl. And this is temporary, and it is a season. And so in relation to what you've been going through, this is going to dissipate. So being patient is also part of the lesson in it, they're saying. And if you feel called to look at the medicine of the owl, like totem medicine, owl, in connection, there's an aspect in the release of the ancestral patterns for you. So I just wanted to add that.
Beautiful. I'll just do two more. Does that feel?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, Lisa Foster is here. Nice to see you. What did she say? How amazing, an owl. Oh my God. I have been wanting to clear ancestral patterns, but don't know how. Oh, interesting. The animals are so helpful in that, Gina. So there's something, if you feel called, which I feel you do, look into the totem medicine of the owl in that connection with ancestors. So yeah, feels very ceremonial, beautiful, which is, yeah, you're familiar with that. So nice. Perfecto. Genty. Absolutely. Genty. Oh.
You want to start this one?
Me? Oh yeah. I'm hearing something. I'm aware of dad, like fatherly energy. just really drawing close to you in support. So not sure if dad is in spirit or still here, but just his energy just coming forward. And it feels like this. Okay, show me. Okay, so he's lighting a candle. And so in that, it's this stand of hope. So he's bringing the energy of hope and strength around you, Jen. And so in that, it feels really good. Feels very timely. So just
So
being
beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm on the same wavelength here as Kevin too. I have deep replenishment, retreat, rest, and be held. And then I pulled keepers of the earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. So that just feels like, is your father in spirit, Jen? Yes, dad is in spirit. Okay. He's very, when I'm getting full chills. Yeah. He wants you to know he's just right there with you, and he's just really feels this, like with his energy, feels like this just warm, loving, like he's just wrapping you in a blanket, and he just wants you to just feel how held and how loved you are. So beautiful, that energy from dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saying this is very timely. You needed this, and it's so interesting. It's like, I mean, not to be too upfront, but it's like he's aware that this is resonating. It's that whale energy. So medicine also, yes, in the whale song, and it's like he's kind of
Whales.
so wonderful. Can't make this up. Dad's a wonderful communicator, Jen. And just in his energy, I feel is he doesn't want anyone else to feel excluded in this. So the ripple effect of the medicine that's being and the message that's being brought forward is for others as well. It feels as I feel into his energy, it's his essence. Like he always wanted that. He didn't want anyone to feel that exclusion, and so he's bringing me back to the whale song, and in that, the whale being kind of protected in that strength and that feeling of hope in that bubble feels really good. And sometimes we need that in the humanness when things kind of get like mucky. And so in addition to that, there is, if you feel called to looking at the totem medicine of the whale. What's that whale that has the big like, and then it like captures all the fish? It has that big like underbelly kind of
Like the
mouth.
blue whale? Beluga? No.
It's one of those ones. It's the I don't know what it is, but it's the ones that have the big, huge, like it's like a basket, their mouth.
Yeah, can
And then
see it.
yeah, it's one of those ones. Someone, if you know what I'm talking about, let us know. But there's that in particular, that whale is what he's showing me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm easy with that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I pulled a second card, which is so interesting. He speaks to me in my dreams. It was the dream talk. I told you your dad's a really good communicator, which you already know. There you go.
Yeah. Really, truly. Jessica Lynn.
Wonderful. You have 73 subscribers now.
Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciative.
Yay, you. Yay, you. All right, we'll do the last one for Jessica Lynn.
Yeah.
I have a message from my guides. Yeah. That picture is neat. The elephant was like, go into the picture. Okay, I'm going. The elephant. Elephant.
Jessica, I just pulled don't dim to fit in.
Mm.
Yeah, and it just feels, and then I pulled Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided. So I'm not sure if you've already been working in your own Akashic records, but I get this sense that your guides are inviting you to maybe start to explore the
Mm.
records. Yeah, it just feels like there's gifts that are opening up for you right now or will start to open up in the near future, and it just feels like you're being very supported and encouraged in that, and they're guiding you in that direction of the Akasha, which is really beautiful. Are you getting, Kev?
Are you finished?
I think so. I mean, yeah, it feels just a very supportive, um starting to maybe read. There's a book that I read. I feel called to. That's really interesting. I haven't thought about that. There's a book that by Linda Howe, and she teaches in the book how to open your own Akashic records and how um, to use the pathway prayer. And it's a really brilliant book. She's an incredible teacher who's, I don't know, I think she's like one of the first who really brought this mainstream, and the book is brilliant. So I don't know if you feel called to that, would highly recommend that book. And just to start, maybe just to start, playing around with opening your own records and just seeing what comes through, because it feels like there's some gifts within that are wanting to be remembered right now. So yeah, very cool.
I
Love
love
that.
that.
Mhm.
My attention was around Jessica and the energy of reconciliation around you. And so it just feels like there's something around reconcile. So it might be with self, it might be in relationship, it could be both. But there's this kind of like emerging energy of this reconciliation coming up again around you. And then the card I pulled, I think, plays directly into what Sandy was speaking to around the crown games. And this is um, it's the right use of power and that really stepping into your power. And so in that, embedded in the knowings, is things like the Akashic records, where that information would be held, and we're not separate from that. So you, if this kind of keeps coming up around the exploration of, like, for example, the book or the Akashic records, it's about your power. And so stepping into that and how you use it. And they're saying in connection to the reconciliation is the energy that's there
Mhm.
at this moment that I'm.
Yeah, and it feels like this energy of you don't need to hide,
Mm.
and however that looks to you as you start to take those baby steps.
Yeah.
It is just one small step at a time. It's not like we have to come out and announce that we're psychic and that we have these gifts right off the bat. But
Yes.
I just do feel like this encouragement for you, that if you've been feeling that there's a resonance that you're interested in maybe tapping into your gifts, or maybe you've already been tapping into your gifts, that you're wanting to take it to the next level, but there's maybe a little bit of unconscious fear, or maybe it's conscious, that you don't want to stand out in any kind of way, or there's maybe a little bit of fear around what others might think. They're just really encouraging you not to dim your own light, because at soul level, you're going to feel very fulfilled once you start to take these steps towards your gifts, your soul gifts. So it feels very encouraging.
I love it.
Hmm.
Don't forget to, before you go as well, everyone, hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not. If you're watching this later on the replay, do subscribe. I know a lot of watchers don't subscribe, but you don't have to love the channel. Just subscribe anyways. It's supportive. I always think this community is so wonderful, and that we should actually just have all the same amount of subscribers, because how beautiful would that be? And in that, leave a comment after the live if you would, help Sandy's channel, tell you if things resonated, or just a thumbs up or whatever that may be, would be really, really wonderful.
Thank you so much, you guys, for all being here. We appreciate
your first live on the YouTube.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's the first live. Many to come, many more to come. So thank you so much for being here and supporting. And thank you, Kevin, for being my very first guest.
Yay.
I love you so much.
Love you too. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Alrighty. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you all. So now you go.